Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another webinar today in Abhyas series. My name is Priyanka, and I'm coming to you from Mauritius. So today's topic is a very exciting one. But before I dive into the topic, I think it's really good to talk a little bit about what these webinars are all for. Why are we doing these webinars? So these webinars that we have here at Abhyas, we've been running them for about 7 months now. And they're very much designed to bring a community together of like-minded individuals to expand their awareness based on topics that we set here at Abhyas. However, we don't want people to feel that these webinars are there to provide any types of solutions to participants. Saying that, these webinars are an amazing opportunity to just learn some tips and tricks and some ideas, which our very generous panel members usually are more than happy to share with everybody here. So a little bit about Abhyas. Our vision here at Abhyas is through the application of experiential knowledge, we envision a paradigm shift in society's perspective, equipping it with the ability to face the challenge as it is. And our mission here is that we are committed to equip individuals with equal opportunities by providing professional training to impart courses on mental well-being, creating a better future for all humanity. And as our founder Namdeo would say, that all transformations have one thing in common. It's all about the turnaround in the perspective on what you have been through. So with that, let's jump into our topic today. So our topic we have today is about from surviving to thriving. So in this particular webinar, we're going to be reflecting on how each of our experiences of life, especially the challenging ones and the uncomfortable ones, how they all hold potential to open up new perspectives, give new insights, and also increase the possibility for growth and transformation for all of us. So with that, I want to actually warmly invite and introduce our panel members today. Our first panel member is Rushi. So Rushi is the founder of Healing Space. She is a distinguished psychologist, a transformation coach, and an energy alchemist with over 25 years of experience empowering individuals and organizations to unlock resilience and growth. As the founder of Healing Space and Nama HR Consultancy in Dubai, she blends evidence-based psychology with holistic practices, including mindfulness, sound healing, and energy alignment. Rushi is renowned for her expertise in emotional resilience, leadership development, and life transitions. Rushi also bridges neuroscience with inner transformation, guiding people beyond survival patterns to thrive with clarity, balance, and purpose. We're very excited to have you here with us today, Rushi. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for being
Thank you so much.
here. Our next speaker today is Jacob Cooper. So Jacob is passionate about promoting healing. Jacob is also the best-selling author of Life After Death and the Wisdom of Jacob's Ladder, he is also a near-death experiencer and sought-after speaker on mental health, spirituality, and consciousness, offering elevating seminars and individualized services to help others find purpose and connect to their inner power. Welcome, Jacob. It's an honor to have you on our platform today.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
for
being
having
here.
me. Yeah.
Excellent. And of course, I will be sharing quite a few of Jacob's awesome sources that he's shared with us today, Facebook, Instagram, and of course, access to his books if people want to purchase them as well. I'll be sharing those in the chat momentarily. All right. And I think we are now going to be introducing our third speaker. So I'll introduce her first, and then I will try and support her to join us on the platform. I think she's perhaps facing some technical difficulties. So our third speaker today is Preeti Ajoda. Preeti is a mental health coach. She is a transformational coach, a hypnotherapist, a yoga and a meditation instructor, and she is also a metaphysical healer dedicated to uncovering mental and physical struggles. She is the author of 21 motivational books. She blends hypnotherapy, past life regression, NLP, CBT, and holistic practices to guide individuals into freedom from anxiety, depression, trauma, and limiting beliefs. With a mission to awaken clarity, self-love, and resilience, Preeti empowers people to rewrite their stories and live with purpose. Welcome, Preeti. Thank you for joining us today on this platform. It's an honor to have you. All right. So, as
Can
Preeti,
you hear me?
yes, hi, Preeti.
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear
Hi,
you.
how are
Thank you
you,
for joining us.
everybody?
That's all right.
Thank
No
you.
worries. No problem. Great to have you here today.
Thank
So,
you.
so what
Yes.
we so we're going to start actually with a very interesting question for our participants. So this question is, how do I usually respond when I step into the unfamiliar? Is it by resisting it or is it by exploring it? So I'm going to now take a moment to just give our audience a little bit of time to kind of think about this question, and even our panel members to have a little bit of a think about this question. And as I do that, I will also share some resources from Jacob for our audience, for them to learn a little bit more about his amazing offerings that he has with us today. All right, so I'll just put the question in the chat as well. So we just take a moment for our audience to just have a little bit of a think about how is it that you tend to respond when you step into that unfamiliar zone? Do you find yourselves resisting it, or do you take it as an opportunity to really explore it a little bit, or even an opportunity to explore yourself? And I'll just share a few of the sources from Jacob as well. Perfect. So, as our audience takes our time with just kind of having a think about and reflecting on this question, we're actually going to dive right into our panel discussions. So, we're actually going to start with Jacob. Actually, Jacob, it's been amazing your story, your journey that you've had, and I've been reading a bit about your story, and it'd just be really interesting to know and for all the audience to hear actually a little bit about your journey and what is it about today's webinar that really resonates with you and that's brought you here on this platform today? Thanks.
Well, well, thank you very much for having me on. Yeah, I'm right now celebrating my 33rd anniversary this month of my near-death experience. So September is my month, and it also coincides with around two decades later where I had my first out-of-body, well, actually second out-of-body experience beyond my near-death experience, but as a young adult. So September is a really powerful month for me, and I'm trying to share as much as I can during this month because I do believe it's a big month of manifestation, intention, and really finding people to really re-begin their new journeys, and really starts with beliefs. And I believe there's a big dichotomy of beliefs and how we live our lives. And hopefully through some of, the examples here today, people could find maybe new approaches, familiarized approaches through some of our sharings, and that could alter the trajectory of the course that they're traveling. But to me, if someone would ask me what I do, I would say I'm just an explorer, much like this question where you asked, how do you engage with unfamiliar territory? You see, and I see Rishi's background is kind of like the planet. And I always give that example, this to try to tangibilize spirituality or mental health, that this planet was found through exploration of people challenging the paradigms of their times or held beliefs and getting outside of this box and recognizing um, we're only as limited as we see reality as. And that's really the way that I try to engage with spirituality. It's all about exploring openness, and that's very much a diverse kind of thing. That could be through people, for instance, that you engage with. You could look at people with your own projections on your movie screen, or really be open to really bearing witness their unfoldment as just they are and being that observer, which ties into a lot of the MBSR mindfulness stuff that we all kind of lean into. So, but yeah, having an NDE at a young age really changed the trajectory of my life and just reminded me that we are just so much more than this flesh and this body, and there's a higher guiding force that we're all a part of. And the term that I really lean into these days is God as a guiding, organized design, that life is not random. There's an intentionality, there's a purpose, and there's something guiding us. And if people could govern their lives with that degree of guiding organized design, that everything has a purpose, a lesson, a meaning to it, the chaos could start to really shift to more flow and ease and evolution for people's everyday lives.
Oh, I absolutely love that guiding, organized design. And I find it really fascinating how you mentioned that September is the month for manifestation and an opportunity really to question, to challenge our beliefs, which is, you know, such an interesting part because we're going to be coming onto that element as well today. So thanks, Jacob. You are really an inspiration, and how you're continuing this amazing movement for more and more people to know about guiding organized design is it's very inspirational. It's very empowering. Thank you. I would love to hear from Preeti next, actually. Preeti, please do share a little bit about your journey. And then, of course, what is it about this webinar, this theme that's really resonated with you and that's brought you here today? Thank you.
Okay. So, my journey has been something, if I tell you about my journey, it's gonna take like like half an hour. But just to cut it short, it's like it was a calling. And like, sometimes I feel like when we step really into that unfamiliar territory, like our subconscious mind often sees it like unsafe because it's unknown, right? So, like the ego, it's like it wants to protect us, so it resists. So, that resistance shows up as fear in our body, or as hesitation, as overthinking, and even procrastination. Most of us, we've got this issue, like we want something, but we have this idea of like perfection. So we'll wait for the right time, for the right condition to make things happen. But when we shift into this higher state of awareness, we begin to see the unfamiliar not as danger, but as like a possibility in um, I do use that a lot in my hypnotherapy session with my patients, where we go back to the past, where we heal the root cause. For example, if somebody has got a trauma or pain, or could be anything. So it's like the brain is so used to the familiar and the safety. So it's like I often remind clients that the unfamiliar is actually where transformation lives. It's where we're feeling this uncomfortable feeling, and we know we have to go there to heal it, but it feels so uneasy, that uneasiness. We don't want to go there because we don't feel it like there's something that we don't want to leave it, okay? Because if we only repeat what's familiar, we repeat the same pattern over and over. So, like spiritually, life always like invites us to grow by stepping beyond this comfort zone. And the universe, it's like never waste energy. If something unfamiliar shows up, it's often like a doorway to our next chapter. So the real question is, Like, do I choose to stay with the safety of my old pattern, old story, or do I just breathe, center myself, and really explore that new story waiting for me? And when you, like you mentioned exploration, it's, we're all like explorers, you know, like when you choose exploration, you tell your subconscious, it's okay, I'm safe to expand, I'm safe to learn, I'm safe to grow. And that's when real change happens, you know. So this is like something that I've been practicing. It took me a long time to really feel. I always had this feeling, you know, I was never good enough. And I spent my whole life, you know, like when I was a teenager, I was so scared of, you know, speaking in front of public. And now I can speak like so easily. And because before, when I now realize that all these years we've been so conditioned, so programmed to believe a certain way. And it's like everything, every little thing, it's down to only that story that we're telling ourselves, that story that has been holding us back, you know, the story of the small elephant with the chain and all. So it's the same thing. We are what we believe and what we choose. So if we can reprogram our mind by letting go of all the stories that we've learned from our childhood, what our parents wanted us to, like, what actually we're just trying to prove ourselves to our parents when we were little, to our uh, like everybody, our kids, our partner, everybody, we're trying to prove something. And even with strangers, you know, it's like you don't have to prove anything. But with these people, because they're our close ones, we want our parents to say, oh, I'm so proud of you. I believe in you. Even if you succeed or you fail, it's okay. I believe in you. So we've spent our whole life just trying to look for that validation only from these people. But when we understand, like, it's not necessary, you know, you're the only one who can, when you give yourself that praise, that compliment, when you say, you know, I've got your back, this is when true healing happens. It's like you don't have to look for that approval, that approbation, that validation. And then you become that person who you were meant to be. And you allowed, it's okay. You make mistakes, you fail. It's okay. You know, you'll survive. Yeah,
Absolutely. And even more, you'll thrive. So that's
exactly, exactly.
beautiful. Thank you so much, Preeti. This is really good. I'm already getting these elements that are coming to the surface that are very much in alignment with what it is that we're going to be discussing today. So I'd really love to hear from Rushi next. Please share with our audience a little bit about your journey. And of course, you know, it's amazing you founded your own company called Healing Space. And what is it about today's webinar that really resonated with you? Thank you.
Thank you. So I've been hearing, it's amazing to hear both of your journeys, and I'm grateful. I think that is what has made us what we are today. So it was, what I would say is, it's through the survival that we need learn to thrive. Right. We do need to feel. When you talk of survival, we are all about how do we protect ourselves even when we are born, or the first needs that we go through are all about defending, taking care of us, fulfilling our basic needs. And it is from there that we go to thrival. So today's topic is something that defines our life, our journey, and every interaction that we have. And everything that we want to be is based on that fight between survival and thrival. And it is not very different. It is not that you should not survive and you should only think of thriving. It is without survival, you cannot thrive. So, and I think it's basically a journey that I've learned through my experience, my life journey. As everyone, we have had our own roller coaster drives that kind of challenge our beliefs. But I would like to probably not use the word challenge, but integrate our experiences to bring a new experience or that thriving energy within us. Everyone is a thriver, but somewhere I think it's all about the way nature functions, right? Like there is nothing, about wrongness. There's no judgment. So even when the leaves fall from the tree, they start thriving in a different form. So it is not about survival, but it is about thrival and integrating both of them. Like, when you talk of day and night. So the reason I'm talking more about nature is also because I'm also into farming and I kind of experience that part. And if you see, my background is of, that universal space. And I think it is all about how the universe functions, right? It is from breakdown to breakthrough. So, thriving is a transformation that we experience from breaking down to creating a breakthrough in our life and inspiring others. And I think this has been a journey with me, with my clients. I mean, it's been 25 years and I've been working through every one of them. And if you see, as a psychologist, probably we look into the wrongness when we diagnose someone with some problem and put them into boxes like, oh, you are depressed or you're having ADHD. But I would rather look at someone with what strengths they have. Because even when you talk of depression, it's not a weakness, it's a coping mechanism, it's a survival. But it is through survival that you can thrive. If you don't go into the wrongness of it, if you don't judge it, if you're compassionate enough, and from there find what is that spark in you that can change your life. And that is what is, I think, the journey of survival to thrival. And I'm happy to be here. And the amazing panelists, thank you so much.
Yes, I mean, I think that's really fascinating. So I guess now is perhaps a really good time for us to dive into this first element where we talk about being receptive. So what do you all believe it means to be receptive, and how is it that we can kind of use our ability to be receptive to take us from that place of survival to thrival? What do you think is needed, and why do you think those challenges are needed? Yeah, happy for any of you to start first and keep the
Okay,
conversation
I
flowing.
think what I would say is being receptive comes in when you are, not in that frame of having everything as an, polar opposites, like there's a good or there's bad. But if you're not coming from that, from the polarity of things, I think you are able to receive because when you don't judge anything, that is where your curiosity plays a role, and then you are able to accept it as it is and experience it as it is. So I think somewhere the first thing that we need to come out of is our infatuation with judgment. We judge ourselves. We judge ourselves for our roles we play. We judge ourselves for who we are. We judge ourselves for other people and what they perceive of us. So if we take out the judgment and we are in allowance of things the way they are, like when you see, look at colors, you'd say that's a blue color, but you don't say it's a bad blue or a good blue. But when it comes to relations or the way we see our experience in life, for example, even the lack or abundance of it. If you ask people, whether you are okay with lack of money, there wouldn't be anyone who would say agree to that because we go into wrongness of lack of it. But if there is no wrongness attached, I think then we just experience it and there would not be the pain. Or it's like, what is more important is how you perceive things. When you're in allowance, your perception changes. You're not going into the judgment, you're not going to the polarity. And that's where, that kind of changes the way we see things and the way we receive things. If you don't see any wrongness, we would probably do it, take it, experience it. And that is how I think, the movement towards thriving is about getting out of judgment and receiving without any judgment.
Jacob, do you have anything further you'd like to share on this element?
Beautiful sharings, everyone.
Mm.
I would say receptivity is an early onset part of the change process, and I think when people are receptive, able to be tuned into a part of yourself that wants to do things a little bit differently. It's a humility, it's a groundedness, and it's a readiness to see things differently. And the ego really could get in the way of change. It has this box of how it sees things as fit, whereas the soul seeks to expand, it seeks to evolve, it seeks other ways of seeing the world and living in our daily lives. So I think when you're receptive, you're in tune with your inner self, with your higher self, and you're ready to recognize that this shell that I was living with is no longer serving me, and it's time to step into a new. And that really is, life and the soul are really much of the same coin. It's all about continuity, and life is to me about renewal. And when you're in touch with the soul seeks to expand and to renew itself and its perceptions of reality. So receptivity is a very pivotal role in being open to another way of viewing. And we're just celebrating the um, crossing over of a man who is all about these kind of things. His name is Dr. Wayne Dyer, who also
Mm.
crossed over the same day as Louise Hay a couple years ago, several years ago. But what he would say about change is when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And to me, it's all about that. The first step is really receptivity and openness to change and really inviting change in your life and recognizing that the only thing that is real is that which never changes. Everything in this life is always changing. And so when you're able to make friends with change, you recognize it's not strange and it's a part of life, but it's here as an opportunity to evolve and embrace, find meaning and accept within our lives.
Absolutely. And Preeti, interested in your views. I think you also work with youth in this space. So how is it that you are able to kind of help them navigate this path of challenges and really see receptivity as an opportunity to explore new possibilities for more expansion, for self-expansion? Thank you.
So, for the youth, like it's really quite a challenge dealing with youth because they have their own world, they have their own perception of things. So it has been, like quite a challenge. And if you don't have this challenge in your life, because everything, like, how do I put it? Like, let's say they don't see things the way that we do. Okay. It's like a different generation, but that's also their gift. And their world is so full of, possibility. So what I've noticed working really with young people is that if you try to impose, they resist. Okay. And but if you just invite them, if you guide them to experience their own inner power, then they open up. And the key is receptivity, like not forcing, because the moment you say, don't do this, it's like, they won't listen to you. And just like us, they believe they are shaping the way that they see themselves, okay? And also the way that they see their future. So if we can help them shift those beliefs from I'm not enough, I'm going to fail, to I can create, from survival to growth, then we don't just teach them, we activate them. Okay, so that's how we help the youth nowadays, not by telling them who to be, but by holding space for them to discover who they already are. Yeah, and this is like a challenge. And I think it's not only for the youth, the challenge is with us as well. We adult, uh, it's like just imagine if we didn't have this challenge in life. Just imagine life would be boring. Okay. So challenges are what move us from survival into growth. And if life always uh, stayed comfortable, the brain would never rewire. And also the heart would never really expand. And it's often while we are pushed into the unfamiliar that we finally stop living that autopilot mode. And those moments of difficulty, they force us to really pause in life, to let go of the old baggage, old emotions, all the patterns, and to really be receptive to something new. And really, survival is about reacting to the past. It's about, like let's say the difference between survival and thrival. Thrival, it's about creating the future, but creating the future from where you are right now. So the challenge, it's not like a punishment, it's an invitation. It's like life saying, will you keep repeating the same old program, or will you open yourself to the new possibilities, to the greater, confident, peaceful, calm version of you? So that's waiting for you. So if we can just imagine the future self coming to you and saying, oh, you did it, you did it. All those fears, everything that you were overthinking, the worst case scenario in your mind, actually, you did it. So that's why we stop living with that, playful child like, uh, curiosity. When you start seeing life like this, then everything just, is smooth. You're not making yourself miserable. You're just flowing with life. It's like a flow. Yeah.
No, that's really really powerful what all three of you have just shared on this element, particularly that survival is the first stepping stone to move us into thrival, and that it compels us in a way actually to challenge what our beliefs, our systems, our patterns have been, to really want to grow out of that, to move into a new space. And it's really interesting. You were all mentioning in different ways and different elements of it's all about how you see that challenge. It's all about how you see it as a possibility, or do you see it as, oh, not this again, or it's a burden or a curse. So I guess this is where it'd be really interesting to talk about this other element now with you all, is what is it actually that tends to I guess influence our understanding of life? What is it within us that makes us do that? Yeah, interested to hear from any of you to start with first, really, and continue the conversation. Thanks.
Well, I learned very early when I had my near-death experience that we may have a body, but we're not just a body. And that was a first-hand evidential reference. Now, for the most of us, we don't have that direct experience. And so people are driving this car or this boat, whatever have you, when they walk around just thinking, I am just this body. And so for a lot of people, if you just see yourself as a body, the body's wired to just survive. But if there's something else that's driving your life or your car, whether that be the soul or your inner self, then the trajectory of your life looks a lot different. Your decisions are a lot different. They're not as based in fear or what could go wrong or just trying to minute survive, but really the soul seeks to have a real beautiful, deep, and impactful experience. You think of kind of like the water. The body's here just to tread water, but the soul is here to generate a current and an impact that will go on far beyond your existence. So I think it really comes to information which influences beliefs, which influences the way that we live our life. And once people are able to be vulnerable and challenge their paradigm of reality, that's when that change will happen. But to answer your question, so much of reality is kind of like Plato's allegory of the cave, if you're familiar with that in the Republic, where you have these prisoners you have these people in this cave, and you have the prisoners behind them, and they're really representing their shadows of how they see their reality as, and that's the only thing that they see. Once the people are able to come out of the cave and break the shackles and see there's this whole beautiful world that's always been there around them, that's when things will change. And so, really, there's a big movie screen that so many people are watching that's not their own, that really has to do with maybe the people that birth them or people around them, and it's their projections on reality. And when you're in touch with your soul, that's when you're able to see a much more reflective and authentic sense of reality that's a lot more beautiful and prosperous and skillful to really navigate, this life, if you will. But really has to do with the screen. And so many people are not watching their own screen, they're watching someone else's movie, and that's the issue. Sorry, I think you're muted. Yeah.
No, no, I was just in complete agreement with what you were saying, Jacob. Absolutely. Definitely agree. Preeti and Rushi, any comments on this element as well?
Yeah, I think what I have seen through my journey or through my experience with clients, and especially when you talk of the ones who have gone through trauma, as Preeti also mentioned, it's all how we react differently from the different aspects of us, like, from your cognitive or your emotional or your physiological functioning or your body as such. It's all an integrated system. So when you are experiencing trauma, the basic need that comes up is how you feel safe and supported. And when you're experiencing that for a long time, you fail to see the life or what you experience in a different way, because your body is all about keeping you safe, keeping you supported. And once I think once you start working on that, and once you start feeling safe, it is when then you go out and see life not as a challenge but as a possibility. Problems turning into possibilities is when the basic needs of safety and support are met. So it's not just this, like, obviously there are different needs. And when you talk of moving to tribal, it's all about, it stands on how safe you feel or how supported you are. And that is what will get you to experience a different this thing. But it's also a movement. When you talk of survival to tribal, it's me to we. I would say me, as in moving from me to we, because we are a part of the system. We are a part of the cosmos. And then there is a beautiful saying in Sanskrit. I cannot remember the exact words, but it translates to the universe is within you and you are within the universe. And this is the transition from me to we, where you connect, and as you say, it's your soul. The body is something living in duality, but it is the soul which is beyond duality. And I think it takes time for us to move from that space of me to we, that is from survival to thrival.
Definitely, Rushi. And it has got me thinking about this element of safety, but we'll come to that next. Preeti, how about yourself? What do you think about this element here?
Well, I, I think, what influences the way that we see life is really the lens of our subconscious mind. So from childhood, we we've collected beliefs, experiences, everything that we've seen, and emotions, and those become like it becomes like the filter through which we see everything. Okay. Now, so when a challenge shows up, one person might say, like, okay, this is an opportunity, while another person might say, not again, this is too heavy, I have to deal with that again. So the event is the same, but the lens is different. So what makes the difference is our state of being. So if I live in survival, for example, the stress, the fear, the anger, the frustration, and the old programming, I keep reacting as if life is happening to me. Okay. But if I shift into awareness, into receptivity, I begin to see life as happening for me. So that's the real power. And learning to step out of this old lens, the old story, and choosing to create from a new one, the moment it's like, everything shifts. And the moment that you change the way that you see, your whole everything, your whole life starts to change. This is how I see it.
Oh, perfectly said. Absolutely. I think we've definitely got to the root here, which is it's all about your perception. We've used many terms to describe perception. We've used the term of reality. We've used the term of layers. We've used the term of filtering. And then we've come down to where it all comes from. It comes from perception. So I guess the element that I'm kind of keen to final component, which is looking the unknown. Um, the component I want to dive in with all of you is where do you think these elements, these these perceptions, these beliefs, these patterns, where do they reside? That's definitely one element I'd like to kind of discuss with you all today. And the second aspect of this is how is it that we can move from survival to thrival, knowing that these elements reside? What is it that we need to do? Thank you. Happy for any of you to start first. Thanks.
Okay, I think since I'll just start with it. But before that, I just wanted to point from the last, this thing, when we feel, uh, you know, the things as though it is for us, like, she was talking about for or against, how do we do it? It is, I think, when you're not safe and you feel everything is against you, everything works out, whatever happens to you is against you, but it takes time for you to, when you feel safety, when you feel you're taken care of, and there are a couple of things that go towards that, to feel that everything happens for you. So there is nothing that is against you. Everything happens for you. So it is that change of perception that works around. And coming to your question again, I think all the perception that we have is based on our experience, how we are treated. I mean, it's our stages of development. Like Erickson has spoken about different stages of development from the time you're born to you become an adult. And it is just that those needs, how do you fulfill those needs? And that's how you move ahead. And probably once those needs are not fulfilled, you're stuck there until you fulfill that. And, that's how you move forward. And again, it's all experiential, what you're experiencing. And based on that, you see how I mean, that is how you are experiencing things as such. So yeah, I think there was something else you asked. I forgot. If you can mention again, I would like to go
Sure.
through that. Yeah.
Sure. I was just mentioning that we've spoken about beliefs, conditioned patterns, but what I'm interested in hearing from all of you is where do you think they reside? Like, where are they? Are they in our body? Are they in our head? Are they deeper within our body? Where is it that they sit? And how can we, once we have that awareness, how can we then move ourselves from that survival to thrival? What do we
So
need to do to make that
yeah.
change?
Thank you. Thank you for the question again. So, yeah, I don't think it's residing in one particular thing. Like it's there in the mind. And if it is there in the mind, it goes through, your cognition, through your emotions, through your body. It's there in your physiological functioning of the body. It's there in your fascia, every molecule. And to answer it better, it is there in your DNA. And DNA is nothing but all your memories, all your experiences coded for you to plan, or live your life either to survive or to thrive. So this is the first part. And the second is, I think, how you change is from experiencing that safety and acceptance of who you are as a person. We are not perfect, but the way we are phenomenal. And that's what I call people. I mean, I call my clients to look at themselves as flosser. They are amazing with their flaws. So once you accept yourself to whatever you are, I think that is what is needed, that acceptance, that allowance to function from no judgment of yourself or no judgment of others. I think that is where you can move from safety to clarity to coherence. I think that is what is life in short, is moving from the safety to having that clarity of what it means to be you, what is the purpose or meaning to your life, and then the coherence where you are a part of the entire system, entire universe. You are still connected to every other soul. And I think we do, as we even try to thrive, we are still connected by others who are surviving. We are impacting others and others are impacting us. And life is beautiful in this space of interdependence. interconnectedness that we have with each and every person. We influence others and others influence us.
That's beautifully said, Rushi. Jacob, is there anything you'd like to add on onto that element as well?
Yeah, it's hard to pinpoint where all these things are. I think they're everywhere, but I would say our being starts with our spirit, and then it flows down to the mind, and it flows down to the body. And I think if you're having a degree of turbulence or distress, you're certainly in the mind and you're certainly in the body, but you're not connected, deeply to the spirit. And once you feel that sense of flow and ease, you really are connecting to the spirit, which relays itself, flowing itself down to the mind, flowing itself to the body, flowing itself to how we really engage with the world around us. So I think when people are really able to be in touch with their spirit, there's a big relationship with how we feel, how we think, and how we engage with this world. It also really stems from, to me, I'm a big guy in belief, and there's a big relationship with how we feel and how we think and what we believe. Um, One of the brightest men in the modern day civilization, Albert Einstein, said is, the universe with you, against you, or a place of ambivalence, where it's kind of in between. And if we view that God or the universe has our back, it allows a lot of psychological resilience and resolve and people to pivot through their circumstances, as well as develop that space between what happens to us and how we engage and respond, and the elasticity of that space. And so that's why I think there's such a big relationship with spirituality, psychology, and biology. And they're all intertwined, but it really starts with that place. It starts and it continues, and it goes on. So we have to live that, we have to understand how psychology and biology is influenced through spirituality. It's not out there, it's really evidential in so many ways.
Oh, absolutely. Beautifully said. Preeti, what kind of I guess aspects have you been working in that space of like Rushi and Jacob were talking about that what we experience is it's within our body, it's within our memories. How do you navigate that space with your clientele? And what would it be something that you'd want to share with our audience to get today, particularly who are, joining us from I guess more of the corporate um, field that they're in? Thank you.
So for me, it's like um, going back to all the perceptions, the beliefs, the patterns, they all reside in the subconscious. This is the work that I do with my patients. So it's like, it's not only the subconscious mind, it's in the body. Like, you can feel it actually. There's a very nice book called The Body Keeps Every
This,
Score, everything that you
I
you
know that
you
book.
you're doing.
It's
Yeah,
very
so
good.
it's like it's really nice book, and they talk about everything that you're saying to your body. It's actually listening, okay? And every experience that we've had, especially in childhood, it gets stored not just as memory in the brain, but as emotion in the body. So that's why we keep reacting the same way, because the body has become the mind of the past. So how do we really move from survival to thrival? First, it's by becoming aware. Awareness is so important. You cannot change anything if you're not aware. So you can't change what you're not conscious of. That's the first thing. And the second thing is by creating like safety in the nervous system through breath, through presence, through practices that calm the body, through somatic therapy, through EMDR, through hypnotherapy. They have been helping the body. Like actually, what I do with my client is going exactly where that root cause is. So once I know the root cause, I can bypass the conscious. I can give them exactly what their body needs, what their heart needs, so that they make sense, their brain makes logical sense of why is it that they're doing what they're doing, why is it that they keep repeating the same pattern. So it's because if the body still feels unsafe, it will always pull you back into that survival. And like finally, by choosing new thoughts, by choosing new emotions instead of um, you know when you're choosing something new ahead of the experience, or when you rehearse this new belief, what it's doing, like when you say, I'm safe, I'm supported, or I'm capable, there's something magical that happens. And you feel it in your heart, you feel it in your brain, in your body. It begin to like rewire itself. And that's how you move from old patterns into the new possibilities. And like in short, these elements live in the subconscious, it lives in the body, and the path from survival to thrival is awareness, it's safety, it's consciously creating a new state of being. And when you change from that inner state, like your outer reality begins to change. And it's fascinating, this world where you realize everything is about energy, and how when you shift your physiology, your focus, your language, everything, then things starts to change like gradually. And I mean, this is what I've been doing for the last 22 years with my clients, like helping them go back to that root cause and see where is it that they didn't, or their body didn't feel safe. And then, for example, I'll give you an example. Let's say somebody wants to lose weight. Like, maybe when they were small, like they had to finish their plate, or else they wouldn't get the sweets, the dessert, and whatever it is. So every time it's like their brain started to feel that, okay, there's something there. I need to finish my plate. So guess what? They will repeat when they grow up. Or let's say somebody, you had a parent who would always fighting because of money, because, you would hear your dad saying, money doesn't grow on trees. You have to work really hard to make money. Money is the root cause of all evil. You can't afford this. You have to save. So we've spent our whole life trying to save. Now, what happens is when you grow up, you're going to repeat that same pattern. That's why they say if you somebody wins the lottery, in that 2 years or 3 years, they're going to lose that money because their brain is not wired to get that. They are not familiar to that amount of money. And because there's something going on at the subconscious. So when you have this limiting belief that, it's not safe for me to make money, I don't know if my business is going to flourish. And then you attract that same kind of energy and vibration. And this is where my work comes. I go back to that root cause. I heal where your dad started to say money doesn't grow on trees. And, at that time, we need to change things from that past. Or let's say you go and tell your dad, come and play with me, okay? And then your dad says, no, I don't have time, you go and play. And then you think, oh, my dad doesn't have time for me. And then second day you do the same thing. And then third day your dad doesn't have time for you. And then in your little brain you're thinking, oh, I'm not important enough. So what happens is when you grow up, you're going to repeat that same pattern over and over. It's the same um, uh, experience, same people that you're going to attract. And this is how the mind works. You just have to let go of everything that you've learned. You unlearn certain things so that you can relearn. You upgrade the software of your mind where you relearn what's working, because there are things that it's outdated. These are like outdated information. Your body has, and especially your mind is like always looking for something that's going to make it feel safe. So, I mean, if I have to talk about it, I'm so passionate about these things. So, yeah, but I think our time will go. So, thank you.
No, this is really good actually because I think an element of what we've discussed together today, and I absolutely I loved how we brought this to the surface, which is that there is this real interconnection between psychology, spirituality, and what was the other element? I'm just trying to think. Um, oh, I think Jacob, you're
Phys
muted.
yeah, physical health,
Physical health, exactly.
mind, body, spirit. Yeah.
Mind, body, spirit, absolutely. Psychology, spirituality, biology.
Hmm.
So I think this is such an appropriate topic, and actually, I'm excited to share that over the upcoming webinars, we'll be talking about going into more depth, actually, about our DNA
Hmm.
and really about how is it that things start there in our DNA. And I think a lot of people know this as epigenetics.
Hmm.
So that is actually the direction where we will be heading over the upcoming webinars. So I do definitely want to share with our audience and of course with all of you lovely panel members that it would be such an honor and a privilege to have you on our platform as we start talking more about this element of, our programming, how we can change that. And I think we very well explained, and all of you shared so beautifully today that when you're faced with challenges, when you're faced with the unknown, it's really an opportunity for you, provided that you're aware, to shift your perception and to actually be able to create new possibilities for yourself. So we talked together today about psychological safety, and I feel this topic is such a rich topic that I'm feeling intuitively that I'm going to have to bring this topic back and take it on a different lens because I think this space of the unknown is something that plagues people all across the world. And it perhaps is also one of the root causes why people are struggling with mental health and well-being. Would you agree? It's difficult for people to be able to process the unknown because there is this element of not feeling psychologically safe, but it's also about spiritually and biologically, are we feeling safe? So it's given me a fabulous opportunity now that we will have to continue these conversations into another upcoming webinar. And I do hope that Abhyas can be very privileged to have the three of you join us again. But I think given that we are sadly out of time, I think it would just be good to just to really finalize our talk today, our webinar today, just by sharing that if you've really enjoyed our webinar today, then please do follow us on LinkedIn. You'll find at the bottom of the bottom right corner of our screen is our QR code to join us on LinkedIn. And in the bottom left corner of our screen, we have our website so you can learn a little bit more about who Abhyas is and what we do. But what I'm really excited to share with all of you here today is that Abhyas will be hosting a range of in-person forums focused on mental health and well-being, with our first one coming up on the 19th of September, Creating a Harmonious Workplace. That will be followed by subsequential other forums, which are very much focused on health and well-being in the workplace, how we can create cultural shifts and change, and how it begins with ourselves. But also very exciting to share that towards the end of this year, in November and December, we will be offering a series of retreats. So an opportunity arises for you to come to Mauritius to explore these retreats and really integrate with the teachings here that we have at Abhyas. We can see that there's a lot of similarities, and I really sense that across the world, more and more individuals are starting to understand this spiritual, psychological, and biological connection that we have to create the future that we want. So if that sounds good to you, then I do look forward to seeing you at one of our future retreats. And with that, I just want to say thank you so very much to our lovely panel members. We've talked about such rich conversations here today, and I'm very grateful to all of you and to our audience who have joined us. I was moderating the chat. I didn't see any questions come through, and that's okay. But I look forward to seeing you all again on this platform. Until then, take care and have a great afternoon, evening where you are dialing in from. I'll see you again next time. Thank you so much. Bye for
Thank
now.
you.